Welcome. This is Majesty Sussex Report. I'm Antonia. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time here with us. This is part two of 1,300 plus victims, one brave prince, exposing media corruption in the UK. In part one, the prologue, we explored the pervasive influence of wealth and power on media, leadership, and society. The discussion opened with a contextualization of Prince Harry's legal battle against Rupert Murdoch's news group newspapers, emphasizing its broader significance beyond the courtroom. We reflected on how powerful individuals and organizations exploit their wealth to manipulate political systems and silence opposition, often at the expense of truth and justice. The narrative examined the stark contrast between ethical leadership, as embodied by figures like President Jimmy Carter, and the corruption that underpins much of the modern media landscape. This corruption, driven by greed and sensationalism, has left countless victims in its wake, as over 1,300 plus individuals settled cases against NGN to avoid the immense financial and emotional cost of prolonged litigation. We also questioned the moral decay of media conglomerates and their role in spreading misinformation and fostering division globally, with Rupert Murdoch's empire at the center and Elon Musk. Finally, we highlighted the interconnectedness of this systemic rot, illustrating how Prince Harry's fight for accountability is a fight for all of us who are impacted by a mass media system that values profits over humanity. Part one set the stage for understanding the courage required to challenge these deeply entrenched power structures, while leaving us to demand accountability and reform. Let's begin the conversation with part two. Welcome back. This case is not merely some kind of personal vendetta, but it's a broader fight for transparency, for accountability, for justice, right? It takes an enormous amount of courage to stand against one of the most powerful media empires in the world, knowing the stakes involved, not only personal reputation, but also public scrutiny. And what he's asking for, it's a broader fight to benefit the populace, to benefit everyone. And it's amazing to see how the media has put so many people against him and his wife, against their own benefit. It amazes me how well these marketing campaigns, these propaganda are so good at convincing you to vote against your own damn benefit, to hate the person who is trying to help you. I remember when Hillary Clinton said, when she went to Appalachia, I think, and she said, look, these coal mines, I want them shut down. I want them shut down because it's making so many of you sick because of the toxins and so on. You know, it made your granddaddy sick, and they don't have health care. It's made your father sick. Some people lose their homes, and you are heading into that same place, and it's going to make you sick. Let's start to plan for the future. I want to bring technology into this area and give you folks some of the highest paying job, retrain you so you don't have to go to the coal mine. Let's shut that down. You're going to have well-paying jobs, solar panel construction, windmills. Let's bring here the technology of the future and let you get to start getting the proper compensation. Yes, you, your granddaddy, your great granddaddy, and so on helped build this country through coal. But that's technology of the past. No, no one heard that. What they marketed to the people of that area was how pretentious she was and how she wanted to take away your jobs. And then you had these people, it's unbelievable. You had these people fighting to keep their jobs as a coal miner. So here she is saying, I want to retrain all of you so you can get a better job that's not going to send you to the hospital and dead by the time you're like 50 or 40. I want to make sure that the jobs that come in here are going to pay you $30, $40 an hour, $70,000 a year. I don't know, $100,000 a year. That's what I want for you. But you decide that that's no good. You decide that, no. I want to keep the coal mining job. I want to get sick at 40, and I want to not be able to pay my hospital bills or my medicine because there's this thing called Obamacare that the black guy did that I don't want because he black. These media corporations, the information, these social media platforms, they like us stupid. And they like us voting for the things that are not good for us. We vote against our own good, right? So Prince Harry is fighting for transparency. He's fighting for accountability, for justice. There are things that are printed in the tabloids, in the newspapers, online, that have made people unalive themselves. And no one was held accountable. No one. There is someone by the first name Dan who relentlessly attacks women. And there's a rap sheet about him, a rap sheet about the things he's done. Recently, someone who was his victim, allegedly, unalived themselves. This person's male. And still, he's still on the air. Mind you, not on the same station he was before. He was on a Murdoch station. No longer there, but now he's on social media, spewing his hate, spewing his thing, and his target has been the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, for years now. That's been his target. Nonstop, 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 nonstop. It takes immense amount of courage to stand against one of the most powerful, powerful media empires in the world. Knowing that the stakes involved not only will affect your personal reputation, but that you will be scrutinized day in, day out, every hour, every second. Prince Harry's insistence on a trial underscores his commitment to exposing the systemic violations that occur within NGN. His focus on the public interest mirrors the bravery of Tom Watson, a former MP who also rejected settlement offers to bring his malfeasance to light. Now, the, does everyone, does anyone not wonder, not for a second, this is just for a second, on the days, on the time where you're by yourself and you assign this time as your thinking time to think. When you have things that are printed that is said about politicians, these are the people we elect, right? We elect them to protect us, to make sure that society is run in in the most best way, functional, equal, fairness. When you have politicians accepting to settle, what does that say about the system? What does that say about the system? So if a politician, the person I've elected to defend, to protect, to create laws, if they are not doing anything about it, if they themselves are saying, yeah, we're going to settle, how much money? How much money? Because the way our courts are set up, the way the system in the court is set up, it doesn't benefit me to like continue with this sue, you know? It's not beneficial for me. So I'm going to take your money. Thank you very much. And you can continue doing what you're doing because I've just signed a piece of paper that said you didn't do anything, even though we all know you did. So Tom Watson and Prince Harry, together they shine a light on what I'm going to call the darker corners of quote unquote journalism. Because I'll tell you, there's lots of people that don't adhere to any journalistic ethic whatsoever. Whatsoever. Because sensationalism often trumps, I can say that, trumps ethics. I mean, the staggering number of settlements, more than 1,300 people. It speaks to the volume about the scale of wrongdoing and the barriers to justice in the United Kingdom legal system. The financial and emotional toll of prolonged litigation deters many from pursuing any kind of justice, leaving them with some settlement money, settlements that may prove monetary compensation, but no accountability or systemic reform. None whatsoever. I mean, if this doesn't raise questions for people, I don't know what else can. I don't know what else can. You know? I mean, let's let's also face it. I mean, 8 years coming on to 8 years of consistent daily abuse of Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, has not made people raise the alarm. And I'm not talking just locally in the UK. I'm talking worldwide. If that has not raised the alarm to this date, we are going on, people, 8 freaking years of consistent, nonstop, daily abuse on a woman that rarely says anything about anything. And when she says it, it's a cause she believes in to help people, or she's doing something that she is good at, or she's working to help provide for her family. No, 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 we don't question it. What people have done is they just look at what is trending. What is trending? Or what's trending is Meghan Markle uh, dog died last year, 20 something whatever ago, and she's pretending it just died yesterday. She's a hypocrite. She's a narcissist. She's a she devil. She's a this. She's a that. And then you have the opportunists who's just buy their laptop and go, okay, that's trending. Okay, okay, blah 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 blah. Meghan Markle is a person who is, and they now come on. They just click into the click, plug into the hate, and a new hater has been born. Why? Because soon they realize they got 10,000 people hit them up, 20,000 people hit them up, 40, 50, 60, 100,000. And then the platform starts to chill out the moolah. Holy cow. I made $1,500 just by saying this crap. I made 2,000. I made 10,000. I made this amount. Holy crap. I just started this channel last week and I've got already 40,000 followers. Huh. Hang on a minute. I think, I think, I think I'm going to give up my other channel. I'm going to give up that channel that was about reviewing movies. I think I've hit the goal. What are we doing? What are we doing? Mindless, frivolous, plugging into the hate. We don't care who we're hating. We don't care what it's doing to them. We don't care what it's doing to our larger society. We're just plugging into it. When you hear intelligent people, when you hear people who call themselves journalists say the things that they say about a woman they do not know, it is mind blowing. How can such rampant abuses persist without triggering significant political or legal reform? How can it exist? That's my question. C'est tout. C'est mon question. C'est tout. I don't have another question. That's it. Es mi pregunta. La única pregunta. ¿Cómo puede existir? How can such rampant abuses persist without triggering significant political or legal reform? How? The very existence of so many claims, 1,300 plus, should prompt lawmakers and regulators to scrutinize the unchecked power of media, and especially of media conglomerates like the Murdochs. Instead, What happens? What happens? These organizations continue to operate with impunity, enabled by legal loopholes, extortion court costs, and a complicit political environment. You want to hear that again? Complicit political environment. I saw the the leader of the opposition in Canada, given what I think is an interview, I'm not sure. He's chowing down on an apple. The interviewer is asking him a couple of questions. He goes, "Who said that? Who are you talking about? Who means it?" I have never in Canadian politics witnessed such ignorance, such abrasive ignorance. Because for some reason, people buy this nonsense. Oh, look at him. He's been a macho man. He's been to Canada. He's been to Is he? Is he? We had another politician who now, is risen up in the ranks. So this crap works. It works on you. It works on us, I guess. He said, "I'm going to make it that you can get beer at $1." I don't know if it was $1 or $2 or something. Some gimmicky thing like that. And you had all the bros and all these freaking idiots. Yeah, he's gonna give us like beer for $2, man. You mean $2 beer? That's awesome, man. It's great, dude. So he's doing that, the dance and da 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 da. $2 beer, $2 beer, and you're so busy looking at the $2 beer while he's polluting your lake. He's taking away rights. He's doing all these other things. But look over here, $2 beer, $2 beer. What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? Honestly, how? How can that amount, that number, and nothing happens? Nothing. Not one thing. They set up some bogus bureau of complaints that does nothing. The actions of NGN journalists and private investigators reveals an astonishing level of cruelty and disregard for human life. These individuals, driven by the insatiable demand for scandal, they invade the privacy of countless amounts of people, fabricated stories, weaponized misinformation. Their actions weren't just unethical, they were profoundly harmful. Careers were destroyed, reputations were tarnished, and lives were irreparably damaged, all in the name of profit and power. Profit and power. Elon Musk is scheduled to be en route to be a trillionaire. And he's not out there trying to take care of the poor. He's not out there giving people, building institutions of great knowledge. He's not out there doing good for humanity. He's out there seeking more power and profit. by disabling democracies, dividing people, putting neighbors against neighbors. When those race riots happened in the UK, for me, I listen. I'm not going to get emotional. I promised myself I would not get emotional because when I watched young people, and when I say young, kids, kids throwing rocks, holding whatever they're called, those Molotov bombs or whatever, throwing it at a hotel that was housing migrants, people who have usually running away, trying to escape horrific things from their homeland. If their homeland was great and wonderful, they wouldn't be running to another place for safety, for security. Throwing at hotels where young kids with their parents were housed because some politician decide to do some gimmicky things and say that these migrants were being housed at the Ritz, at the Savoy, at the most finest hotels in the United Kingdom. They're eating caviar, drinking champagne on taxpayers' money. When you have politicians themselves who are celebrating sending people of color, and she herself is a colored person, to Rwanda, giggling like a schoolgirl. And pardon that comment because that's rather sexist. What is wrong? What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? When we are willing to believe the evil and deny the good. When we are willing to feed the most darkest, evil, vindictive sides of us and kill the good. What is wrong with us? When I saw those babies, those are kids, and their parents or adults standing by and watching as their kids do that. It reminded me of something that Tori Morrison, the author, said. She said in the times of the civil rights movement in the U.S., there were women who would attack
I want you to
buses that
understand that
had little black.
if I see, say during the civil rights movement, there were women who would rush out to the schoolyards when they were trying to integrate schools, and they would push over the school buses that were bringing black children to these schools, push them over and set them afire. And when I saw that, I was wondering whether I could ever get a group of black women under any circumstances, from any walk of life, to hurt some white children, to set a bus on fire full of white children for any reason. Prostitutes, drug addicts, ministers, teachers, black women of any level. Could I call them all together and say, we have got to burn these white children? And I didn't believe I could ever find that. So I thought, those white mothers, they were not just white women, they had actually had children. They knew what that was like. But they could do that to those children. They could spit at a child. So I thought, That is the most degrading life I could imagine, of being an adult who could do that. If I were those white people, the absence of that shame was so profound that the real victim was not those children, it was those women who had given up everything, their motherhood, their womanhood, their citizenship, everything, to do that nasty thing. Now that is a true victim of history.
Students, black kids, being bussed into now non segregated schools. They would attack these buses and throw gasoline, light them on fire. These were mothers. These were mothers who had the capacity, the heart to do that to little babies, little boys and girls who know nothing else better, but they're on a bus, dressed the best that they probably have. Their parents probably told them to behave, obey, be good, because they're so scared, hoping that their child would come back home. But mothers, white women, mothers, were capable of going into those buses knowing very well what would happen to those kids, to those babies. What's wrong with us? The actions of NGN's journalists. Where did they lose? Where did they lose their humanity? Because you have to lose your humanity in order to say, to write, to do the things that they have said, that they've done, and they're still doing. I have watched countless amount of television programs in the UK that women sit there and they say some of the most awful, untruth things about Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. They dehumanize her, they call her every name there is in the book. And with the same tongue, the same mouth, the same air that produces words, then they say the most wonderful, charming things about Kate. How wonderful of a mother, how gentle, how proper. And they will define themselves as feminist. So racism is still alive and well. Inner misogyny is still alive and well. These so called journalists were willing to fabricate stories and weaponize misinformation. I mean, it destroyed people, all in the name of profit and power. This culture of cruelty isn't confined to the UK. Murdoch's global empire, which includes Fox News, has played a significant role in spreading conflict, division, and misinformation worldwide. The harmful effects of this media ecosystem are felt in the erosion of truth in journalism, the polarization of societies, and the amplification of hate. That's not my fault. You're going to give me someone to blame? Oh, yeah. Give me someone to blame. I don't have a job? No, 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 no. I'm not. What? I'm not going to blame the politician that just cut the resources, that cut off the budget and finances, so that now the one school that was in my already deprived town, they've shut down, I have to go bust into two different buses to get to this other school that doesn't even have the proper books. But you see, my skin color will determine whether or not I get a proper education, right? Now, they might be someone who's white who's thinking, yeah, what do you mean? Like, I live in a. Exactly. Because this doesn't just affect people of color, it doesn't just affect white people, it affects black people, it affects us all. But you see, you're so busy trying to blame the migrant, trying to blame the brown person, the black person, the Asian person, that you don't even realize you are being done to also. And what did they encourage you? Go take more steroids, go do this, go do that. When you see this anger from white men, young white men, I stop and I go, what are you so angry about? What are you so angry about? Because you have, by birth, you're like 20 steps ahead of the rest of us. 20 steps ahead of the rest of us. And that is you being born in like a poor village. So they are there to consistently make sure we look at the wrong thing. And we have someone to blame. The culture of cruelty. Culture of cruelty, of spreading hate. When you have women, and this is not during the civil rights movement time, this is recently, 4 or 5 years ago, when they were showing babies, little kids being taken away from their parents crossing the border and putting these babies, these little kids alone in these and when they would show those pictures or those videos to two people, they were fine with it. The good Christian people go to church every Sunday. You sing hallelujah. Praise the Lord. God is good. We've got the evil people all locked up. We put little babies in these cell in these made camps. Little babies taking care of little babies. Many of them being abused. Many of them reported some awful things happening to them. We, the people, are given our power and permission for evil to grow and for evil to continue to flourish. Good folk, good church going folk, they were okay with that. They were completely okay with that. So you put little girls, little boys, and the people who are supposed to take care of them, no accountability. What do you think happens? What do you think happens? Rupert Murdoch influence on global media cannot be overstated. His empire has shaped public opinion, influenced political outcomes, and profited from division. When you have politicians going to Sydney to kiss the ring to be elected, from phone hacking scandals to the misinformation propagated by Fox News, Murdoch's legacy is one of manipulation and exploitation. His lack of remorse is emblematic of a greater problem: the unchecked power of individuals who prioritize profits over people. We've got a problem, folks. We've got a problem. When you have, 300 million people living in the United States of America, and only a couple millions of them vote. Because that's the only power you've got left, is your vote. And when you start voting for, look, this case isn't just about Prince Harry or even the victims of phone hacking. I think it's a wake up call about the state of our society, of journalism, of the people who were supposed to tell us the truth, who are supposed to tell us the stories, make us more human, more empathetic, make us aware of when our rights are being taken away, of injustices being carried out. This is a story about the need for accountability. Politicians, regulators, and society at large must confront the toxic influence of media monopolies. Media monopolies. Who in their right brain? And you know who did it. And I'm not saying one camp is better than the other, one is righter than the other. They all do it one way or another. But you give away the security of your country to private when Elon Musk has the power to say, oh well, I'm going to turn off the satellite so Ukraine has no way of knowing A, B, C, or D. When he has the power to do that, and the American government has to go on bended knees and beg him to turn it back on. That's insane. Where there's no accountability, where politicians, regulators, and us as society, the people, don't confront this sort of toxic influence that media has and media monopolies have, when we don't demand reform, nothing is going to happen. Real reform requires more than apologies or financial settlements. Real reform requires more than apologies or financial settlements. How much are you worth? Look, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming any of those people. I'm not blaming Hugh Grant or anyone else that looked at the situation, looked at the rules and the laws, and said, okay, they're giving me $10 million, man. They're giving me $10 million, and if I take this case all the way down, according to the law, if they were offering me 9,999,900,999, the difference between the 10 and the 9,999 is one penny. Guess what? I have to pay. I, the victim, have to pay the abuser. I have to pay them. I have to pay their fees. I have to pay them. Look, what 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 we need, what we need to demand is structural changes that prioritize truth, ethics, and the well being of individuals over sensationalism and profit. Stop clicking on these stories. Stop buying, stop subscribing, stop. Because if the politicians or lawmakers are not going to do anything about it, if you keep buying, if you keep reading, if you keep feeling that something, and that something is, well, my life is better. My life is crap. It's shite. But hey, Meghan Markle is a bitch. She's a narcissist. She's a homewrecker. She's a Jezebel. Oh, how good it feels to just sit there and write all these hateful things about a woman I do not know. A woman that has said that she wanted to unlive herself while she was pregnant. And still you have these women. You have these women around the world, around the world, who just say the most hateful, misogynistic things about this woman. I have never in my life witnessed such cruelty, such derangement, such hate. For what? What's the reason? Because it makes you feel better? For money? The hate you put out in the world is the hate you're going to get back. So when some man decides to raise his hands to you, do you think you had no factor in that happening? You've put out hate. You've wished hate upon another woman for over going into 8 years. 8 years, people. I can't stop saying that. 8 years, because I don't think people understand it's been eight, 8 years, not 5, not 4. I'm not counting from when they were married. I'm counting from the day people found out, suspected, knew. One day she was living her normal life, her profile, her stardom rising. She has the best press. People say the most wonderful things about her, how kind, how helpful, how humanitarian, how dedicated, how giving she is. And then the following day, all of that starts to fall apart, and a different narrative is born overnight. And no one questions that. No one wonders why. No one. It's just alarming. Prince Harry's fight against NGN is more than a legal battle. It's a moral one. His courage to stand firm in the face of immense pressure. His friends told him, don't do this, man. Don't do this. Don't do this. He's lost. He's lost friends. He lost his mother. Almost lost his wife and his firstborn. He faces immense pressure. This highlights the importance of accountability, even when the odds are stacked against justice. This alarming number of settlements, the cruelty of those complicit in these violations, and the far reaching consequences, Murdoch's media empire all point to a dire need for systemic change. It is not just Harry's story. It's a story about the power of individuals to challenge entrenched systems of abuse. It's about demanding a media landscape that values integrity over exploitation. And it's a reminder that that true justice often comes at a cost. But it is always, always worth fighting for. We've got to fight for it. The journey we've been on together and the stories shared are not just about one man or one trial. They are about a broken system shaped by media barons like Rupert Murdoch, who decided which lives mattered and which did not. It is a system where human suffering becomes a spectacle, where migrant alarmists, fueled by right-wing racist politics, exploded into policy and practice. These ideologies, amplified by Murdoch's empire, didn't just distort the truth, they rewrote it, leaving families shattered, communities divided, and nations at war with themselves. Murdoch's media empire didn't merely report the news, it monetized hate, division, ignorance, and violence. Day after day, the lives of real people become fodder for entertainment on talk TV and on tabloid headlines. This isn't journalism. It's exploitation. The society we live in today, the distrust, the polarization, the erosion of compassion is a direct consequence of Murdoch's worldwide view, his ideologies, and his beliefs. And now, as Rupert Murdoch steps back, Elon Musk steps forward, perpetuating a legacy of unchecked power, misinformation, and the destruction of human connection. And he's not shy about it. Not shy. Amidst this darkness, there is light. There is hope. Prince Harry's fight isn't just for himself. It's for his country and its people. For the values that define us at our best. We stand not only for justice, but for the truth, for accountability, for a world where media serves the people rather than exploits them. He fights for his beloved mother, Princess Diana, whose life was stolen by the same forces he now confronts. He fights for his wife, who has sustained relentless attacks. His children, and for a future where they can live without fear of the cruelty he knows too well. This battle is not just his, it is ours. Because if he wins, and by the grace of God. It's a victory for every person who has ever been silenced, exploited, or erased by systems of power and greed. It's a stand for humanity, for decency, and I believe that we can demand better from those who hold the pen and the microphone. And perhaps a victory here is a victory that others can see and emulate in Australia, in the US. Let us stand with Prince Harry, not just in words, but in our actions, in our demand for a better world. Because in the face of corruption, it is courage that shapes history. And Prince Harry has given us that courage. The question is, will we use it? Will we use it? Thank you for your time.